Hello, I'm Attorney Chuck Grainger from Montgomery, Alabama. Actually speaking to you from my office in Prattville, Alabama, just north of Montgomery at this time. We have offices in Montgomery, Troy, and Prattville. But I'm here to talk to you generally about bankruptcy. Evidently, if you're looking at this video, you have an interest in finding out about whether bankruptcy, it may be something that you need or may help somebody that you know. And you're looking to learn a little bit more about it. Now, I remember watching the TV series The Office, and one of the main characters, Michael, came into the office and he says, "I declare bankruptcy." And he felt like that meant that he didn't have to pay his bills. Well, that's actually not how it works. And so you really need to find out more about how it does work by talking to a lawyer in your part of the country. You know, things are a little bit different here where we are than they are, say, in Kentucky. And they're different in California than they are in Kentucky. And so it varies a little bit as far as how this all plays out, and there's no substitute for you talking to your own attorney. And I've got a video about you finding an attorney instead of them finding you that I would encourage you to watch as well. And we also have a website that'll be displayed at the end of this video. But I want to say that almost everybody I talk to that comes into my office and they're wondering about whether they need to file a bankruptcy, they tell me they want to pay their bills. I'm not dealing with people day in and day out who are deadbeats. I'm not dealing with people that are just trying to get over on the system. I'm dealing with people who are in a situation, usually beyond their control, that is keeping them from effectively paying for their living expenses that they've got to have to live and paying for all their debts. Sometimes it's a situation where maybe they've gone through a divorce, or maybe they've had a job change and they don't make as much money as they used to, or sometimes it's a matter they miss work and now they're back at work and they can afford to pay something, but the creditors aren't giving them a chance. And so sometimes it takes the force and effect of federal bankruptcy law to protect people from creditors who are often trying to climb over top of one another to get what little you have, and they want it all right then. And so bankruptcy can usually bring that situation under control. And a bankruptcy can be a very effective tool, but it is just a tool, and it's not something that everyone should do. But you do need the advice of a bankruptcy attorney to sort that out. And I know in our practice we discuss non-bankruptcy options as well as bankruptcy options if it appears to me that a non-bankruptcy option might help somebody. And I'll talk to people about that, whether it involves us doing anything for them or not. For consumers, there's just basically two types of bankruptcy. There's a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which basically kills off unsecured debt in one whack. I think of it like a nuclear bomb that just blows it up. And its unsecured debt is debts like credit cards, maybe medical bills, or maybe small loan companies that people owe that have no lien on anything. Sometimes small loan companies will put liens on household goods that you already had in your home, and we can usually avoid that. So Chapter 7 can be very effective against that type of debt, but it does cost more money up front because it is not a payment plan, it is a bond. So you have to pay your attorney fees, and you also have to pay your filing fee before you can file it. And oftentimes when somebody's broke and they come see me, they don't have that money. It usually is going to require a family member or a friend helping them out in order to pull that off. Only about 15% of the bankruptcy cases filed in our district are Chapter 7 cases, and about 85% are Chapter 13 payment plans. In addition to being cheaper up front, a payment plan allows you to finance your attorney fees through the payment plan. That's helpful because it only costs $50 for somebody to come in and us work with them and get a Chapter 13 filed. So a lot of times that makes it more accessible. However, that by itself should not rule the day. I think people ought to at least try to consider a Chapter 7 over a Chapter 13 if that's really what they need. But Chapter 13s are like a Swiss Army knife because lawyers have lots of tools in a Chapter 13 that we don't have in a Chapter 7. For example, if somebody's behind on their house or their car, We can take what they're behind on the house and put it in the payment plan. Sometimes we can even get a better deal on a car. If they've got a high interest rate or they're upside down on it and they've had it for at least 2.5 years, we may be able to just pay what that car is worth instead of what they owe. And right now we're able to get 4.5% interest on it. So there's real advantages to Chapter 13 that help explain why so many cases that are filed are Chapter 13 payment plans. But you know, people need to do something. It's a sign that you need help if you're not sleeping well. If you're looking at your situation, I would encourage you to make a list of everything you spend money on and add it up. We help people with that when they come see us. We give them a list that they can fill in the blank. But you add it up and you look at, is what you're having to spend just to live before you even pay those creditors, it's just to pay for food, gas, utilities, rent, whatever. You add that up, and if that is higher than what you're making, chances are you need a Chapter 7 in that situation, because you cannot afford to pay 1 penny on the debts that you owe if everything you make goes toward your living expenses. On the other hand, if your income is a little higher than what you have to have for your living expenses, then maybe you can afford to pay something in a payment plan, and that might work for you, especially if we're able to get you a better deal on a car or look at things like that. Chapter 13s are helpful also as far as paying the IRS. We can put that in a payment plan over 5 years as well. So you see, there are differences between the two, and it really varies as far as what each person needs. I look at each case like a fingerprint, because each situation is unique. And I try to use these tools to figure out what is the best strategy for my client. Not necessarily how to put out that fire that's burning that's got them coming in, but what's really going to help them in the long run. And so oftentimes we try to answer questions they have, maybe about credit, which is usually better after a bankruptcy than before a bankruptcy, and that always surprises people. But there are a lot of things that people think about bankruptcy that are just simply not true. Maybe they've heard it at work or from their family, but oftentimes when people tell me things like that, I say, well, that's not really how it works. So I strongly encourage you to meet with a bankruptcy attorney in your area. And you need to find them, and don't necessarily go by who's spending the most money on advertising, because that may not be your best choice. You just ask around people you know that have filed bankruptcy or know somebody that's filed bankruptcy, and find out who the best lawyers are just by word of mouth. That's the best way to find out. You can always call and ask questions, and you can go see 2 to 3 different attorneys and see which one you feel the most comfortable with. Our firm is Grainger Legal Services. Again, we're in Montgomery, Alabama. We do help people get out of the hole. I mean, we use bankruptcy, and sometimes we don't. But we do try to help people. And if you want to text us or call us and make an appointment so I can look at your situation individually and figure out what you need to do, then feel free to do that. You can text us or call us at area code 334-260-0500. I hope this information is helpful to you. I encourage you to look at our other videos and also look at our website. We've got a lot of information on our website that may answer some of your questions for you. Thank you for listening.